Now we're live! Erin Kennedy. The general craziness of it, the impact on your life.
We have gone through so many stories and we said, you know what? This should not be kept to the two of us. Good morning, Megan.
Good morning, Erin.
Good morning,
How are
everybody
you?
watching. We're
Hi,
live
world.
on a random Monday, Megan.
Because why not, Erin?
Because why not? Well, I'll tell you a couple reasons why.
Tell me.
Because today is a holiday. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Maybe it's Holy Day.
A holiday?
Are you familiar with that term?
No. What are you talking about? Like what?
A holiday. It's apparently a day when some people get a day off of work. I know that it was something completely foreign to us before, so I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly.
I learned about it as a small child, but then completely lost touch of what it was for the entire duration of my time working in TV. Like holiday, day off? Huh?
Mhm.
Yeah.
We got 5 comp days, which was Christmas, New Year's, July 4th, Thanksgiving.
I think we got Memorial and Labor Day, but it didn't mean you got the day off.
Yeah.
It just meant you had to work it, but you'd earn an extra day later. That was probably very difficult to take.
Yeah. So hello to everybody watching. We are live. We are going to be looking at viewer comments. So good morning to Thomas who is watching, and happy summer to you as well. We're going to take some viewer questions, but we're also talking about what it's like to be married in this difficult business of TV news. And I was saying to Megan that I've heard before, and I can say this now, Megan, that I just hear facts and I don't have to double check them because it's not news
I would
anymore.
like you to like quadruple vet everything you say to me, Erin.
Yeah, right. No, so now I'm just going to say, Megan, I read somewhere on the internet that the divorce rate in TV news is 80%.
That would not even remotely surprise me.
Right.
Even a little bit. Because you are moving a million times, you get settled, you get happy, then you have to move again. What if your husband doesn't want to move, or your husband can't find a new job, or you have to split up because you got a new job on this coast and he has to stay? I mean, it's a disaster. Logistics wise, really tough.
Right. And so we're going to break that down. Good morning to you as well, Sarah. And the way that we were doing this, like Sarah just said, we're dovetailing it with kind of Father's Day. So we hope everybody at home and all the dads had a happy Father's Day. Megan, how was Lance's Father's Day?
It was good. You know, anyone who knows Lance, and Erin, you know this, he loves to do like outdoor stuff, hiking, biking, kayaking, whatever. So his dream for Father's Day was that we all drive up to Michigan, we take kayaks and we go down this river. So we did a 7-mile kayak journey with all the kids yesterday.
It was hot though yesterday, wasn't it?
You know what? It was shaded on the river and we went pretty early in the morning. So it really wasn't that bad. And then we left our car where we put the boats in. And then we were all the way down here, 7 miles down the river. So Lance left a bike so he could then bike back to the car. It's like a dream
day for
day.
Lance. That sounds like a Lance perfect day in a nutshell.
It was Lance-tastic. But the funniest thing was this was the first time my twins, who just turned 10, could have the kayak by themselves.
Oh, that's a big deal.
Leo was like sideways. They ran into trees, but I laughed like all the way down the river.
Yeah.
So, and then we met up with some family after that. How about you?
Oh, that's great. We had a similar outdoorsy day. We did coffee and brunch, and then we went to an outdoor park.
So Erin and Matt.
I know. Well, like I said earlier, we got very used to brunches because I could never be coherent by dinner, you know?
Yeah.
And then we came home and took a nap because, like I said, my 2.5-year-old is not sleeping super well right now. So I was pretty tired. He won't stay in his room, Megan. He won't stay.
Where does he just wants to come like sleep with you? Is that the
No,
goal?
I think he just doesn't like closed doors right now. So I was thinking of buying one of those tent cribs. Have you, it's like, it goes under the mattress and it's like almost like a pup tent.
Oh,
the cribs and the mattress, and so they can't climb out.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But then he's just gonna be banging on that, like, Mom.
Yeah, no, it's so anyway, took a nap and then we had I ordered dinner because my husband cooks. I don't cook. So I gave him the night off. And so I called and I ordered dinner and it was delicious. So that was good.
What did you get?
Yeah. So it was Chicago style beef.
Oh, yum.
Yeah.
Okay.
So with the giardiniera, is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, a
Yeah.
jardiniere.
Yeah,
Although
giardiniera.
I was listening to a radio station in Chicago randomly, like actual radio, not Sirius radio, and they couldn't pronounce it. Giarderia. I was like, no, I'm pretty sure that may be really close to a
Yeah,
STD.
but you're not winning with that. You know what? And this actually will be another episode about how difficult it is to learn all the local, right, words and the
Not
pronunciations
only
and
that,
colloquialisms. Yeah.
but when you're reading things, it's not always spelled correctly in the prompter, and then you have to think real quick on the fly as to what the word might actually be.
Mhm.
And what if you run into a word you never saw before or a name you never saw before, right?
Well, yeah, you should read your scripts ahead of time, but of course
Yeah,
that, you know, you don't
but
always have that luxury.
right.
Yeah, I should pull. Okay, I'm gonna go rogue here, and I'm gonna
Go
write
right.
out my favorite word for you. And this is a town in Fall River, Mass.
Okay. Where are you going to put this so I can see it?
And you're
I'm on
gonna
the
tell
side.
me how to pronounce it.
It's Massachusetts, so it's
Hmm.
probably like a
Native
Native
American. Yeah.
American. Okay. Um,
If any of my Rhode Island friends are watching, and I know you're like yelling it
Queequechan.
right now.
Queequechan.
Quicka-chan.
Oh, I was not too far
No,
off.
that was good. Yeah, that was good.
I had one in Miami, and I can't type it because you have control. But
I
it
know
was
you'll have to send it
the
to me.
Miccosukee Indian Reservation.
Tell me how
But
to pronounce it, and I'll pull it up.
okay.
Or not pronounce it. Spell it.
I'm not even sure I remember. M-I-C
AEYMOUSE.
something like that. How did you spell it? Mick
No, I spelled
M-I-C-C?
Mickey Mouse.
Did you find it? Let me look
No.
for it while you because Nick
You're
goes
totally going off script here right now.
Miccosukee.
SUKKE.
Sukkee. But either way, it was like, and the
Oh, well, that's not right.
well,
then.
two
Sorry.
C's, not three, but and two E's, not two K's. But either way, it was like, what was that? It was sponsored. So, but this
So you
was
had to
like
get it
my
right.
first week on the air, and I had to say the Miccosukee Indian Reservation temperature every single time I ever put my temps up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not easy.
Yeah. And Thomas is throwing one at us. Port Unem. Is that a Miami one, Megan?
I don't think so.
Unemi? I don't know, Thomas. Yeah.
Quinamany.
All right. So Father's Day, though, and you know what's funny, Megan, as I was thinking about this, you and I both work out, and so I take my rings off to work out, right? And then sometimes you would forget to put them on when you went back on air, and people would be like, "Why aren't you wearing your wedding
Did you
ring?
get
Did
divorced?
something happen? Is
Uh-huh.
everything
Oh,
okay
yeah.
at home?"
Uh-huh.
Everything is okay in my house. I just want to let you know I just put it on, which was always how it was. Megan, you and Lance have been together for how long? Since you were just
I
a
mean, like
puppy?
so long because I got married young anyway. So we are actually coming up on like 20 years, which is insane. I don't even know how many it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? But we have made it through Parkersburg, Baltimore, Miami, New York, and then Chicago, plus all the crazy shifts. Lance's job, thankfully, he's a chemical engineer, so he can kind of like he could move and usually find something, but that doesn't mean it was always easy. And think about if you're married to somebody who's a lawyer and they have a practice, or a dentist and they have a practice, you can't just pick up and leave and move somewhere else. So that's when things get tricky. I think. Yeah.
Yeah. And we do intend to speak with some friends who are married to other people who are in the news business, which I feel like that's almost a double-edged sword, because at least they understand, you know, right?
Yeah.
What you're going through and kind of the commitments that you've made to be available 24/7.
Yep.
But of course, it's difficult. So I am
Yeah.
also happily married. Matt and I met at Notre Dame when I was 20 and he was 19. So
Yep. I mean,
it's been a long time. Yeah.
cougar.
Half our lives now, I know.
Yeah.
But it is kind of interesting, and I'm sure that, you know, we've talked before about a lot of people who've had spouses who finally just say, "This is too much. I don't want to move again," or "These hours are terrible for our family." Did
Or they
Lance
never
ever
see
come?
each other and they just fall apart
Yeah,
because
right.
you can't ever
It's in the night. Yeah.
stay up and go out or whatever. And then in the case of some of the people that I knew in New York City, they would, I mean, you know, you have such tiny places to live that what would happen there is that if you're on a different shift, you're probably going out to a bar to eat dinner or whatever. you put yourself in that position too many times, you never know what's going to happen, and you're never together. It's difficult. It's really difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did Lance ever though say to you, you have 5 more years and then I want you done, or this is too much?
Not really. Like, I think he was cool to ride the wave of whatever it was, but we had the conversation many times, because when you get exhausted and super tired, you are crabbier. You are less able to deal with stress and anxiety and everything else. So, like, I would say a couple times a month, usually I would get to the point of absolute physical exhaustion and like end up sitting on the floor of my kitchen, just like crying hysterically. Like, I don't even know if he knew what to do with me in those moments. I think he would usually be like, just go to bed, Megan. Just go up and go to bed.
Yes.
But he also said, like, this is not good for you. Like, do you realize this is not good for you? He never told me you can't quit. Ever, ever, ever. Like, it was always whatever you're willing to do, Megan, is cool, which thank God. And that's probably part of why we made it through it. You know what I mean? Because he was supportive. Yeah.
Right.
But
well, as you know, my husband is a musician. So just me being on that third shift prohibited us from like going to shows together, which was always something that was very meaningful to him and significant, or even going to his shows. So that was always very tough. But there were a couple times where when we had to pick up and move to go to a new market, I would say I yokoed the band. I was like, I can't stay here. We need to move for many other reasons.
You were more Yoko than Yoko, quite frankly.
Megan, I'm about to lose battery. I totally forget I'm not plugged in. Hold on.
She's plugging in. While she's plugging in, let me just tell you that I know a handful of people who are actually married to other TV people. Right. And Erin's right when she says that, like, in those instances, oftentimes you understand a little bit more about the crazy schedules, the whatever. Doesn't make it easy, because then your chances are you're not on the same schedule and it's even more difficult. But another problem that pops up when you're in a relationship with somebody who's not on TV is that the normal rules of normal business, normal just universe do not apply to TV. And it's really hard to understand. Like, how many times did you have this conversation, Erin? No, I can't take Friday off. I didn't get approved. What do you mean you can't take Friday off? You have vacation days. Yeah, I do. But, Billy Bob can't come into work for me. And like, that shouldn't matter, but yet it does. And so it's like,
or how about Friday was approved to be off, but you get called in anyway?
Yeah.
Because there's some
anyway.
Yeah. Big breaking news, or somebody's out sick and then you need to be tapped because you're available. Extremely tough. I gotta say, so there was one moment that sticks out to me though. And I don't know about you, but so working third shift, coming home about noon, and then like hoping that the house was still standing with, 2 children at that point.
Yep.
We were living in Humboldt Park in Chicago, and Matt took the kids to Humboldt Park, which is a really lovely park, but it is definitely a city park, So Matt came home Matt was home, and I came home at noon, and I walked in from the car, and I could tell it had been a bad day. And he looks at me and he goes, "We need to reevaluate our life choices."
And you're like, "Oh God, what do you mean?"
I still have my bags in my hand, and I was like, okay, let me put them down. Let's talk this through, figure it out. So he had taken the kids to Humboldt Park that day, and you essentially have to keep, first of all, in Chicago, you don't have a yard, right? So you have to go to a park to run the kids around. And so he had taken them to the park, and you have to keep them within a literal arm's distance radius to grab them, because there are hypodermic needles or homeless people sleeping under the trees. But the straw that broke the camel's back this time, there were 2 pigeons sitting under a tree, and Elliot went to go run toward them. And as Elliot's walking toward them, Matt notices that they don't have heads. And so he grabs Elliot away from them. And there are 2 pigeons who had clearly been decapitated by somebody, propped up next to each other and put under a tree. And so that was Matt's moment to sit. And that we literally left Chicago, a bit after that.
It was like a voodoo ritual or something.
Who knows what it was? But it's, it's not a great thing for families. So that was
and it's hard because you weren't there. Like I found a video, and maybe I'll pull it up for you at some point, but
Yeah.
I had taken the entire day of work. I was exhausted. I'm sitting on the couch, and Leo and Willow were little babies, preschool, and they were asking me, "Mom, can you take us to Muffins for Mom?" Well, it was the next day. They were so excited about it. They were like 4 years old. It was like their dream for me to show up at school. They were morning preschool, so I could never take them or pick them up. And they're like, "It's Muffins for Mom." But I couldn't get off, and I couldn't go. And they started crying, and then I started crying. And then Lana says, "Don't worry, guys. She couldn't come to my Muffins for Mom either." And I was like,
And
like,
that made you cry harder.
oh my God, I was crying. And poor Lance is like, oh my, like, what do you do with this hot mess of a situation? You have a mom who's super duper like invested, but yet you can't get off when you need to. It's like just not a good life for a mom. But then sometimes you don't put it on your husband or your significant other, but you're so stressed out and upset that it just doesn't reflect well on anything then, because you're upset for the rest of the day. And that happens so many times. Oh my God.
Right. Yeah. And we would ask Santa to come to our house on like Saturdays when mom had to work, Christmas mornings, which was all of them, you know, because we should, and I think we touched on this before. If you
hated that, it makes my stomach hurt.
Right.
Still,
you would get it a day. Again, I'm really sleep deprived. I don't know how I function like this on the regular. The only way that you get a day approved is if your co-anchor was not off that day as well. Now, if that co-anchor had more seniority than you did, then he could pick every holiday, or she could pick every holiday.
And you would think, honestly, I'm just going to fill you in on this part. Like, no matter how nice the people are who you were working with, they probably got screwed for 20 holidays before finally they get their chance to take it. And at this point, their kids might be 18 and 20, but they're like, I don't care. It's finally my chance. Like, it's so cutthroat in that, because like for me, I remember thinking like, I have little kids. Santa's going to have to write them a letter that Santa's going to have to come another day because nobody will give me. And there was no way in heck anybody was giving me that day off. I mean, and then eventually, sometimes you can work out a bargain. Like, I'll work 3 days in a row, 2 shifts, and like kill myself so that I can have that one day off. But then really, if you do that, do you enjoy that one day? Because by then your sleep deprivation is like horrible.
Yeah. It doesn't really help. And again, thanks to everybody who's watching. Diana Christie, I'm in Minnesota now as well. So yes, farm boys are the best. Lance is also a farm boy.
I'm totally married to a farm boy. Yeah.
Now I think because you're not working in TV news, Megan, we can also say that you would never even put in for a day off on the kids' first day of school, because then you opened yourself up
to it
being denied.
Yeah. So I would call out.
So you would just have to call in sick.
I called out sick because here's what happens. Let's say you put in for the day off. Like, that was a day where I knew I would absolutely lose it if I couldn't put them on the bus for the first day of school. Like, it was like on a level of importance for me, it was super high up there. And I thought to myself, if I actually put in for a day and then they say no, then that day's on the radar. And if I call out sick, I'm going to get in trouble. So I just always had to wait. But even when you do that, the process to call out sick so that you can have a day that's super important to you, whatever it may be, is also really stressful. Like, shit, poop, darn, there's big storms or something like that. And I can't get off. Like, oh my God, now I'm going to call out sick and there's huge storms. So what's going to happen the next day? It's terrible. And just making it all work was disastrous. But yeah, I have to call out sick every first day of school.
Yes. So when Elliot had his first day of preschool, again, thankfully, so we were in the city. So I was working in the city. So I just kind of ran home, cried mountains of tears, put him into his first day of school, left him screaming, and then came back into work. So I came
back for the 11.
And then Marissa was like, "How's the first day of school?" I was like, she was being very kind and asking how it went on air. And then I was like, get it together.
Yeah, but I don't know. Looking back on it, the anxiety level, like, I can tell how bad it was in relation to holidays and things like that, because anytime a first day of school comes up now, a holiday comes up now, anything that's like really important to me, I get this unnecessary weird anxiety that I can't pinpoint. And then I realize, Oh, because for the first 15 years of my adult working life, this was like huge source of stress. Not
It's
a
called
small source
TV
of stress.
PTSD, Megan.
Yes. But I can remember like I didn't even I used to love Christmas. My God, it was like, I was so excited about it, right? I don't, at this point, I'm like, I'm starting to like it again. But for my children's first, few years of life when I was still working in TV, I hated Christmas because I
Yeah.
probably couldn't get it off. And I was so stressed out. And then everybody's asking me, are you going to get it or you're not? Because they're trying to do their schedules around mine, which also makes you feel super guilty, right? Like you're the one
Right,
who
because
can't
if you're
have it.
not working, somebody else is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, definitely. The only time that I had Christmas off in my professional career was when I was on maternity leave with Conrad.
I mean, you really timed that so well, though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I knew.
Thanksgiving
Well, then
and
I got New
Christmas and
Year's
New
off
Year's.
too.
I
Yeah, I know.
know,
Yeah, too.
which
But
never
then I didn't
happens.
earn the comp days for it, so.
Well, and then like sometimes what would happen for me, because I sometimes would do the network stuff, right? So maybe
Mhm.
I'd beg, borrow, and steal to get a holiday off, but then occasionally they would ask for me to come in on that holiday, and then you're like, ah, because you just got it off for your own place, and then like it's this great chance to go be on the network, so you're like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. Meanwhile, you're like, I just want to
Well, I
cry.
remember, wasn't it, Megan? Because I had just started. It was the twins' second birthday, right? When you missed their birthday because you got to go and do a hit in New York.
Oh my God, I totally blocked that out. Did I miss their birthday? I
Yeah.
probably blocked it out. Aaron, I can't even. I probably did.
So that was it was
God,
2014. So is that when they were turning 2?
they would have been turning 2. And I
Yeah.
probably
Yeah.
rationalized it like it's okay because they won't
Well, I
remember.
remember you saying that you're like, "Well, they're 2. They won't remember it, and we'll just do it again another
And
day."
that was me rationalizing
Yeah.
the like missing of those huge milestones. I remember being scared to death. Oh, see, there's my neighbor Monica who's commenting right now, Aaron. She would see my
Hi,
family
Monica.
over Christmas, but I had to go to sleep. They always had a
Mhm.
big party across the street. They always do. And it's like this big party that goes into midnight. And Lance and the kids would go over there and I would go to bed. And I remember lying in bed hearing the party from across the street, but I couldn't
Mhm.
go because I knew if I did, the next day would be torture.
Mhm.
God, like looking back on that's like not my favorite thing to think about.
Yeah, and Rich is asking what happened when Christmas is on a weekend. If you are not scheduled to work a weekend, then you would get it off.
Not
I feel like
always
it just
for
so
me.
happened that I was working weekends and then got shifted to another shift, and it just
Yeah, not
never worked
always
out
for
for
me
me.
though, because like Aaron,
Yeah.
there's a bigger pool to draw from because sometimes they could put a reporter on the anchor desk or something like that. But in the weather department, we only had like 4 people. So if it happened to happen on a holiday, on a weekend, and even if I wasn't supposed to work, I was terrified that conversation would come up. Well, like, he's got more seniority than you, so we need you to come in anyway, and we'll give you an
Mhm.
extra comp day. I don't want an extra comp day. I want my freaking holiday. You know what I'm saying?
Right, right.
That
Oh,
happened
yeah,
all
I
the time.
certainly do. Yeah. And then, of course, yes, we have all the extras on top of it and extracurriculars. Megan, you would often go to bed at like 11 p.m. with your kids. I don't know
Yeah,
how you did that.
I don't either. So like what I would do basically is work the shift, come home, try desperately to take a nap. But usually it was like you had to select either a nap or working out. So it was probably
Or
50.
shower.
Yeah, or a shower. Which sometimes I'm like, it's fine. But
Yeah.
I always did my showers in the morning. You were at night, right? You would do it like
Mhm.
before. My hair never made it, so I'd do it in the morning. But anyway, I can remember like coming home, taking a tiny nap, probably would be maybe like a 45 minute or if I was lucky. Then the kids would come off the bus and then I would take somebody immediately. And you're right, I would get back with Lana's gymnastics. I would get back sometimes at like 10:15 and then
Mhm.
go to bed and wait. You can't fall asleep right away anyway when you get back from driving or whatever. And I was
Mhm.
up at 1:45, 2 o'clock, whatever it may be,
Yeah,
depending on
yeah.
what we had.
So the big takeaway here is how much you have to rely on your spouse, and you can see that they are doing so much heavy lifting, which, I mean, don't tell me it doesn't create a burden for some
Sure it
people,
does.
right? It's just
Yeah.
important to kind of, I guess, talk that through. And at least we love what we were doing. I want to put a pin in this though, Megan, and we are going to do maybe a part 2 and more about the TV shift itself. And then we will release that Friday at noon. So this is kind of a one-off because, again, we want to remind everybody we are working so hard to do these live when we can and also Fridays live when we can. But of course, Fridays are near the weekend. And
it just gets
as
crazy
we were
in the
mentioning,
summer.
yeah. So I think this is a good place to stop, though. But we are so grateful for everybody who has been watching and asking your questions. And we really appreciate your support. I think that we should also encourage people. We're so glad you're watching on Facebook, too. But if you can like and subscribe to the YouTube, that's
Or
what
share it.
the bread and butter. Yeah. And tell
share
your
it
friends.
to anybody who you think might enjoy what we're doing, because quite honestly, we are having so much fun doing this. And I think there are so many stories to tell, not just our stories, but people are reaching out from all over everywhere. And I'm talking different countries and wanting to come on and talk about their experiences and the crazy business. But I feel like to just kind of like dial it in a little bit, no matter whether you're working in TV or you have a crazy job doing something else, we probably are all one in like, man, that sucked. You had to do that for your job. You had to miss this. You had like, that's a common theme no matter what your job is.
Right. Just
Ours
TV is
was
just not
just
as glamorous, as people would maybe
crazy.
assume. And Scratch Account is telling you not to curse on this show. And that's
No, he
because
said
it's
it should be
Jeremy Ross. So
encouraged.
Jeremy, we know it's you. And we're
Should
gonna,
be
Megan's,
encouraged.
she's gonna do it. So anywho, stay tuned for another episode right on Friday, Megan.
Yes, Friday. We'll be back on Friday. And then Erin and I need to talk about, like, you need to understand like what our schedule actually entailed. And we need to talk about part 2 of TV PTSD, I think. As well. Another
Yes, for
day.
sure.
Yep.
All right, everybody. Thank you for watching. Bye, Megan.
Bye. Happy Monday. Happy Juneteenth.